Hello and welcome to Zeta Chivalry 2 survival runs. Today's map is Rudhelm, and I'm playing with a heavy cavalry sabre as requested by the viewers. TLDR, the weapon is quite good, delivers good damage, not extreme, but something around the longsword. And then it does have a longer reach than that. So simple as that. Also additional advantage it has. You can also wield a shield. Without further ado, let's comment the run itself. So as you already saw, the shield can be used in multiple ways. Not only you can defend from the opponents without losing much stamina, but also you can use it as a thrown weapon. And it delivers okayish damage and you're not losing your main weapon. Also you can jab with it, and if the smaller the shield, the higher the jab damage it does. So this medium shield delivers I think 20. And then the smaller shield delivers 40, so that's quite substantial jab damage. So instead of jabbing with for example, any other two-handed weapon, or with your hands, you deliver 10 damage. That's already amplification on your damage, so which is great. Additional damage to the enemy is always good. So yeah, shields are very good. And again, I can't stress this enough. For some reason they're not as popular, but they're very good regardless. You also should be able to fight even without shields, but in this instance, I mean whenever you can, and using one-handed weapon, shields are, greatly enhance your survivability and also damage. So yeah, think about it like this: you can throw, you can jab, and you will deliver more damage. So there is one enemy that's quite good with execution axe with his very well executed drags on the sabre, so hopefully I won't get too much in his attention. Other than that, the game is going fine. Again, I'm not trying to be on the front line, I'm just trying to go together in some formation, so my sides would not be exposed against the enemy. I see one enemy is here, so not a problem. For some reason, I also, by the way, this is done in 4K, my first 4K video, so that means I have a new rig, a new monitor, so it takes time to adjust all the sensitivity to the previous settings. So I might be rusty and my hits not necessarily land always, at least not the level I want them to. So yeah, have this in mind. Tried throwing my shield twice, did not work, but enemy lost all the stamina, and then I just finished him off with a nice stab. So the weapon delivers, more damage on slashes than, for example, a longsword on light slashes. Also overheads a similar damage. The only thing compared to longsword it lacks is the special attack. Instead of 80 damage for longsword, this one delivers 75. So it's not a game changer. Anyway, the longsword special attack is not very useful, because I'm not able to land my hits with it anyway. Also, what is very cool with this weapon, so the best thing, the special sound effect when you execute the special attack is really great in this weapon. Feels like a proper saber. So yeah, that was the guy with a execution axe who just went down. Again, when you have a shield, you have much more survivability. Let's try to help this archer. It was quite helpful. But then, somebody hit me from behind. Not a biggie. This class also is quite survivable. Actually, I think it's the most survivable class, due to blunt weapons not damaging too much. So yeah, the good combination overall. So now I specifically retreated, from the wall through the window, so the enemy could not come and chase me out. Again, this is not the weapon I would choose to go 1 against 5. And that's just purely because I'm not proficient in it. Thus, see, I'm having trouble finishing one guy who's standing next to the wall. Still, I mean, he made fatal mistake, but before that, he was able to, react really well against my feints. So yeah, kudos to that guy. Pretty good engagement from his side. Even though he was cornered, his position was definitely bad. 1 against 1, I mean, I'm fine with any weapon, but not when, facing against unsurmountable odds and having a weapon you're not very good at. so you miscalculate the range and the damage you can do to the enemy. So that usually leads to all kind of shenanigans and basically results in your death. So to avoid that, it's best to choose your fights wisely. Only choose the fights you can win, usually where there's advantage, either in position or the enemy. So I quickly, delivered 2 overhits, both of them delivering damage to the enemy. Also received 1 kill. The enemy is practically cornered there. Easy kill. Unfortunately, this hit, overhit, delivered a team kill. Somebody was again lying on the ground, and I just finished him off. That's unfortunate. I mean, the weapon delivers enough damage to team kill in 1 hit with heavy overhit. So yeah, but that's alright. Still. Also, what I find interesting that the chicken, for example, does deliver, burning effect whenever you hit the enemy if you jab. But that's not the same with the torch, although it's quite, self-contradicting. The torch should be the one that's putting the people on fire, and for some reason chicken does, but not the torch. So yeah, this is the reason I picked it up, just to test, and I saw that it doesn't deliver anything. Also, if you throw at the enemy, it does not put him on fire anyway. So yeah, I think that's a mistake from dev's perspective. I mean, but that's okay, not a biggie. So alright, so we're at the moment on the 3rd objective in this map. So far, everything is going fine. Basically, I received quite a lot of kills already, even though I did start this map when it was already underway. Still, things are going pretty well for me. Again, you see, I'm not in the front fighting. I'm just trying to maintain the formation cohesion. So, if the enemy is advancing towards my mates, I usually try to get rid of them, so we can both go further. You see, just again removed some enemies from our formation, so we can move, advance towards the objective. So again, here 2 against 2. Unfortunately, my hit, even though I tried to, do drag to the side, it still hit the friendly. Now this drag is very good. It was practically went behind the enemy block, although he was blocking. By the way, that's the reason I looked the other way, to ensure that drag, my hit is being slowed. So it can land on the enemy, and enemy might miscalculate the block he does. Again, now a hit that I did not land. The reason is I'm not proficient with this weapon. Sometimes again, and also not proficient with the sensitivity. I could not find the exact sensitivity that I had on my previous rig. So again, that's why some overheads and stabs or even swings might not land correctly. So still, you see, it's possible to play without problems, even though these are the hurdles I'm fighting against. So again, checking, I think we have only 1 tent to be burned for the objective to proceed. I'm just grab the torch. Maybe will be the one who throws it. Now also, when you fight against skirmishers, you can always wait until they throw the thrown weapon, the javelin for example, and then what you can do is use that throw to gain advantage for yourself. So you block and do something like a counter or a parry. So this way you can block and also get closer to the opponent. And there is quite a big window for the skirmishers to take out the second weapon, the other instance of the javelin. And in that stance, whenever he's doing that, he's completely vulnerable. He can't block, and you should use that to your advantage. Of course, it helps if you have a weapon that can insta-kill an archer. This weapon cannot. So it's best to, what I found out, is best to use 2 overheads, light overheads. Both of them deliver 50 damage. So which is sufficient for the archer. So I see the archer, look, 1 hit, 2 hit. The first hit, unfortunately, was hit the extremities of the archer. So it counted like a leg shot or arm shot. So it delivers only 42 damage, but normal overhead delivers 50. So 50 is quite a good number if you want to get rid of the archers, and also since you only use the light attacks, the quick attacks, it doesn't take too much time to get rid of an archer. Though again, I cannot stress this enough, I really like the weapons that can insta-shot an archer, because you might not get a second chance. In this instance I could, because enemy was quite preoccupied. You know, shooting at my friendlies, and that's how I could sneak in and kill them. So yeah, we're moving past the third objective into the fourth. So basically we have to push the ramps. It's quite a tricky, this back alley, because there's quite a few hanging items that can insta-kill me. So you have to double check if there are no enemies around. You can trigger them. So this barrel toss was not the best one, I agree. And also there was a ballista shot that landed quite close. I think it's ballista, but it might have been also a barrel. Couldn't really see properly. So I got rid of a few enemies by hitting them in the back, first of all, that initiating the call. So since I was aware that either ballista or a barrel was thrown there, so I always assume it's a ballista. And that means that I have to be extra careful when engaging. Now this was a barrel, so it's completely different sound. So the first one was definitely ballista. So assaulting is pretty tough until friendlies take over the ballista place. So this is, you know, there are 2 ballistas on this map and you should be very wary where they are. But instead go behind and get rid of the archers. So that's the best way to play with any class. And also your teammates will be very thankful to you. So get rid of the archers, the most despised class of them all. Also I can go back to the friendly lines, although I see there's quite a few enemies here. So it's not very simple. So I deliver one hit, unfortunately was blocked because the enemy was blocking from the hit that was coming from my friendly. It's okay. Now in tight spaces, the longer weapons do not really have the advantage, especially if you do swings. So best to use is our overheads. Again, 2 whiffs on my hits, and finally a third overhead lands. So yeah, again, not very, you know, I can't really say that I'm very proficient with it. Also the heavy swing delivers 60 damage. So which is still very good, considering it's a one-handed weapon. Nothing close to a one-handed axe or one-handed mace, but still substantial, especially against unarmored opponents. So if it would have armor amplification against the armor, it would hit something like 90. So which is good, but again not as good as one-handed axe or one-handed mace with a heavy swing. So it's okay, again, not saying that this is a bad weapon or something, it just has a longer reach, it plays a bit differently. I get received a hit, so it decides to retreat. So this is the enemy, which I see that does drags pretty well. So for this reason, you know, engaging, I should only do that when I have control. And best if I had also friendlies around. So not a, you know, not a bad player. So whenever you play, you should single out the better players and try to avoid them if you want to do survival runs. Only if you are in commanding position you should engage. So that's a general idea of how to, you know, it's not only you have to think about you know, what weapons you don't want to engage, but also you know, if you recognize somebody from the skin, that it's a good player, so we also try to avoid. Especially again, this is not the place for duels, at least not when doing survival runs. So you can engage in duels if you have commanding lead, but if you feel that the duel is not going your way, it's best to retreat. So for some reason this guy just blocks until his stamina runs out, and that's what he did. Unfortunately friendly received a kill, but that's fine, I don't mind that. I do a lot of kill stealing myself, so it's all good. So yeah, against an armored opponent, this weapon delivers a lot of damage. I mean, it's all bladed weapons, you know, swords are best against unarmored opponents because they don't have any armor amplification. When this game, armor amplification means simply that the armored opponents have more health, not armor per se. And so you need some weapons. The blunt weapons deliver additional damage for those classes that have additional health pool. So yeah, a bit counterintuitive, but that's how it is. In an ideal scenario, the sword or a saber like this will not go through against a full plate mail. Definitely not. Even a chainmail, I mean, maybe stabs, but again not as much damage as, for example, with an axe. But this mechanic is not coded in this game. It is in some other games, for example in, I think, Mountain Blade, but not in this game. Again, I'm not saying it's bad or something, it's just different mechanic, you have to get used to it. Other than that, this game is a bit more fun, especially in multiplayer, than, for example, Mountain Blade. So yeah, there was some stragglers, I found them, got rid of them. Now I also have to be wary that there is another enemy ballista. So again, one shot, all it takes for you to ruin, for survival rounds to be ruined. So for this reason, it's best to approach cautiously and just wait until it is being overrun by the friendlies. So I want to come in here, but I see there are 4 enemies. So it would be quite stupid for me to go headlong with a weapon I'm not familiar with and try to slug it out against 4 enemies. Even though I'm facing their back at the moment, but things might change. So again, for this reason, it's best just to wait and bide your moment. I see one enemy wants to engage. Very nice hit from him. Did not react quickly enough. And underestimated his weapon and also overestimated mine. But things like that happen. This was a very close one. So you see I have like 0 HP. So I was lucky. Commended the enemy player because it was definitely a close one. So yeah, don't risk like that. This is example how not to play the game when you want to do survival runs. The reason I just now stepped into the fire because it was intentional, so I could get my chicken, the one I have in the offhand, on fire. Now the chicken does lit enemy on fire if you jab with it or if you throw with it. Throwing of course is out of option. It's not an option because simply you will lose your chicken. This chicken dies if you throw and then you cannot pick it up. Only live chicken is pickable for some reason. Again, not questioning, just saying how it is. So not a bad enemy, lost a little stamina. Defended well, but his positioning again was extremely terrible. So also here received a hit from that axe. Again, enemy is countering pretty well. So these are the places where you should not engage if you want to do survival runs. I mean, it's best place where, you know, enemies are not being granted with active parry. And if you can, for example, with chicken lighting up enemy up, would deliver additional 20 damage and also a static effect on the enemy. We will put him on fire. So when enemy is on fire, I mean, it's much harder for him to react because of the additional artifacts on the screen. That, you know, sort of effects of burning, and also his you know, health pool is slightly being chipped away. It's not like really a lot, but it's okay. So it does deliver, I think, at least 40 to 50 damage, something like that. So imagine there is, you know, a sense of pending doom when somebody is on fire. So that's additional thing that somebody you know, would consider when fighting you. Also, if you jab once, so like in this episode, for example, it did deliver 20 points, but not 20 damage. So I did not receive an assist or takedown in this instance. Again, nothing serious, it's okay. So there are 4 minutes left for this round. We're doing so far fine. The objective is halfway through being captured, but again, there's quite a good resistance from enemy team. You see, they're selling out, even past the objective. So need to be mindful. Right side seems like already being overrun by the enemy. So I would need to run away from here if more enemies join in. So these are the things I need to be mindful whenever trying to do survival run. I see one friendly is being, surrounded by 2 enemies. Again, I'm not very good with this combo, and not very good with this, familiar with this weapon. So I received 2 hits from the enemy and could not land my first stab, just simply because I'm not proficient with this weapon, and also, my mouse sensitivity is not yet on point. But still wanted to try out, do a run, even though it's not perfectly configured. So I have 3 minutes left on this round. And we're slowly getting closer to the objective, even though the enemy seems to be very persistent and selling out past the objective. just slow us down. Now the left side is having some troubles, so now I'm quite a bit discouraged to go to the left side, so instead I go to the right and try to lower the population of the enemies as much as I can. And he decides to finish off the friendly, and that's his fatal mistake. Well, this was, a gamble. I had to choose to which weapon I have to react with my counter to receive active parry, and I chose correctly. So I received counter and active parry, so I could block both hits and also deliver damage. So this is important, but again I didn't want to press my advantage too much because I knew that there were more enemies coming. So yeah, this is Noob Industrial. So this is the player who was probably had some chances of killing me if he could catch me off guard. No, not really mindful about anybody else because simply they're not playing as aggressive, and yeah, I'm playing more or less safe. So this is the player I would, think twice whether or not to engage, especially if we are on equal footing. But whenever I have advantage, I have no trouble. So yeah, I like going again behind whenever he's preoccupied with 2 other friendlies, and get rid of him. Again, he's doing his part. He is slowing the team down with his blocks and drags and delivering a lot of damage. So now, as you see, we have only a minute and a half left, and we have not captured the objective a single bit. So this is again how really experienced defenders do. So they go into the fray on the front line. They dig on the hordes of the enemies and try to stall them, so the guys who just spawn can get into the front line and do the same. This is how the sort of a real defender plays. But it also involves a lot of dying, so that's why I don't like to play as defenders mostly. Because I usually, if I see that things are not going my way, I instead would retreat and try to recoup my health and stamina and stuff. So in a sense, give enemy additional time to proceed towards the objective. Yeah, but that's just me. So this player plays differently. Again, he's doing his work pretty well because their team is winning in a sense. So we have only 30 seconds left of this objective, and I'm trying to be on objective. Last few seconds. So maybe that would be enough to get it, but that's not enough. I see that even more enemies are coming. So now the number of enemies and friendlies are equal. So it seems like we're not capturing this. So yeah, the map is ending. So it was still a pretty good run. I received quite a few kills and delivered quite a bit of damage. Unfortunately, this did not end in our victory. 44 kills on my tally. I hope you enjoyed this run. I did. Thank you for watching. See you next time.